Leaked documents suggest more Russians killed in Ukraine than previously thought.
Here's a summary of the article.
Between 462,000 and 728,000 Russian soldiers were killed, injured, or captured by mid-June, The Economist reported on July 5, citing leaked documents from the U.S. Defense Department. These numbers exceed the number of Russian troops who were preparing for the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. On July 5, Russian media outlets Meduza and Mediazona published a report indicating that approximately 120,000 Russian troops have been killed since the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. For every Russian killed in action, there are about 3 to 4 wounded, according to The Economist. The latest estimates suggest that roughly 2% of all Russian men aged between 20 and 50 may have been either killed or severely wounded in Ukraine since the start of the full-scale war, the article said. Mediazona confirms identities of over 58,200 Russian soldiers killed in Ukraine. Through open-source research, Mediazona, a Russian independent media outlet, together with BBC Russia, confirmed the names of 58,207 Russian soldiers who had been killed since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022.
This post received a score of 8,700, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Unfortunately, human life is not worth much in Russia. For them, endlessly stupid military parades are much more important.
The reality is that these are not super young naive people, they are typically older men who know full well what they are getting into when volunteering. You can't expect people to care on the same level if the vast majority were 18-year-olds being conscripted and dying. That's not to say Russian culture is equivalent in their value of human life, but there are expectations older people have about the risks they take anywhere.
I think it's more a situation where Russia is treating the men who have, or are more likely to have, already, replaced themselves in the expendable position. They need the 18-year-olds to keep having kids, but if the 40-year-old has already had a kid, the next war's soldier is already set.
I don't think it's planned or anything. Russian demographics skew towards 30s, 40s, so when given a choice, those are the people who will overwhelmingly sign up.
I mean, there are documents by the Five Eyes out there explaining Putin was waiting until he had enough of a population to launch this war. He would have done it sooner, but Russia's population has been cratering. He's been planning this out for decades. He knew exactly which parts of Russian society were expendable and purposely tried to send them in as cannon fodder. Older, rural, less educated, poor, and criminals were the first to go. The easiest to replace.
Russia has an aging population. Fertility rates in Russia have already been very low for the last few years. I'm not sure this theory holds water. Children under 5 are the smallest demographic in Russia except for those older than 70. If Putin was trying to run some sort of fertility program before the war, it failed miserably.
He tried in the 2005s through 2020 didn't work, had to launch war before population collapsed.
So he thought he needed better demographics to wage war. The opposite happened, and then he waged war anyway? That just seems dubious.
Probably because it was now or never. When the demographics number didn't pan out and continued to decline, it became a ticking clock.
True. I'm just skeptical about planning a war 20 years in advance by trying to get your country's people to have more children. I just don't think any leader would actually think that was a sensible idea.
Using meat grinder tactics are known to cause high casualties.
Someone's been reading Zap Brannigan's Big Book of War.
This war machine is built like a steakhouse but handles like a bistro.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.